If you want to check out what my favorite items have been for the month of July, then please keep on watching. Hi friends, thank you so much for clicking if it's your first time here. My name is Alicia and Kinky Sweat stands for my kinky hair and sweat life. I'm a fitness professional who loves all things movement and beauty. The majority of my movement content can be found on my Instagram. Here on my channel, you'll find makeup reviews, 3-look videos, hair product reviews, and some flexibility tutorials. Today we're going over my favorites for July, and I'm very happy to announce that I did not go spend crazy this month. I think there's only one not new item in here and everything else is new. Not necessarily that I purchased exclusively in the month of July, maybe in June. Let's kick it off first with some eyeshadow. I said to myself, Alicia, if you insist on buying new eyeshadow, please make it from a brand that you do not currently already own. And when I saw Mel's video, I mean, everything she does is so divine. When she reviewed the Kaleidos makeup brand, I was very intrigued. And then I saw Raw Beauty Chrissy use the same palette, and I was like, oh wow. I ordered the bundle. I have it on my eyes today. So I bought all three, and these are it. They're very much like Galaxy, but like meets rock formation type. Oh, hello. Rock formation type of a gig. In terms of the palette design, it's a mini slim Pat McGrath Mothership Mini. It overlaps like so. It has the magnetic closure, you have the slim mirror, and then you have the 6 eyeshadows on the center, or in the center. On the center. Yes, I have Mel's Gemini on standby because I know you're comparing these shades. I get it. I have Futurism 1 Sci-Fi Green on my eyes today. They are made in China, but they are cruelty free. Keep in mind that being sold in China and being made in China are two different things. A product that is made in China doesn't necessarily have to undergo animal testing. That's why technically a product made in China can still be cruelty free. If you're still not comfortable with the prospect of buying makeup from China, I get it. You got your format, so you have the orange, the olives, and the black, and then you have these 2 shades. I will assume that these will just be what do they call these? The metallics, because these shades right here, oh my goodness. I mean, just dry. These apply wet. I'm talking wet. Look at that. And they're not heavy either. They're a thin texture, but the opacity is extraordinary. And I couldn't believe the shine and the twinkle that these textures have without feeling heavy on the lid and without gathering on the lid, because sometimes when you deal with a thick metallic, it could gather on your skin and really enhance texture on the lids. These still remain so thin in texture, but deliver the performance tenfold in terms of shine, in terms of twinkle, in terms of dazzle. I was very pleasantly surprised with these shadows. I'm going to quickly get into the footage now that I took of myself applying Futurism 1 this morning. I first started with Radioactive with a Sonia G Crease 2, buffed that into the crease, and I was really pleasantly surprised to see that this shade actually showed up as the shade in the pan. I know that's an obvious expectation, but sometimes depending on the quality of the eyeshadow, the way it looks on the pan does not look the way it should on the skin when you're blending the shadow out. Then I went in with Smog. This was a pleasant surprise because Smog, despite me layering it on top of an orange tone shadow, still showed up as very olive. It didn't muddy up, it stayed true to that olive tone, but just blended beautifully with that orange hue and Radioactive and made it a very beautiful gradient. I applied it on the outer and inner corner of my lid, and then I believe I went in with Glamora, which is this beautiful, shiny, wet looking olive tone. I patted it down and went back in with Smog just to feather out the edges and make them look more blended between matte and metallic. I applied Nuclear, this beautiful gold metallic shade, on the inner third of my lower lash line. And I forgot to mention, I might have shown the footage already, that I applied Smog to the lower lash line for that smoke. I was pleasantly surprised with this shadow palette, and I have to say, let me bring out Gemini right now, why don't I? They're very similar. Absolutely. I mean, you have to right away think of Gemini when you see this from Kaleidos. But I have to say, I like the Kaleidos shadows better. I like the mattes better. They knock it out of the park when it comes to the metallic shades. The metallic shades in Gemini and also 27 are terrible. And I was very disappointed because when you saw those swatches on Instagram, and although it swatches nice here, so there's a comparison, this shows up a lot more of a deeper olive tone than the one in Futurism 1. It doesn't apply well on the lids. I would have to apply this shade in particular with my finger to really get it to stick, and I will have to use a setting spray to make it adhere even more. I do think the mattes in the Futurism palettes blend better than the ones in Gemini. I do. I know there was a lot of hype surrounding this palette, and I also liked it when I reviewed it, but until you try something that's better, your thoughts change. Absolutely. My mind has changed in terms of referring to the quality of mattes in Melt Gemini. I would highly recommend that you get this instead. Sure, it doesn't have as much of a shade selection as Gemini because this shade, Mochi, is gorgeous. I mean, this is a color that I don't have in my collection, so that's what makes this unique in particular. But I would do without it and just use the lighter olive shade as your transition and then go in with the deeper one, or just use Radioactive. This is such a pretty matte, and the way it maintains its color even if you combine it with the olive shades in here, amazing. Like, look at that beautiful gradient. Look at it. The next one up I'm going to show is Futurism 3 Astro Pink. This was a strange color story, I have to say. Upon seeing it for the first time, I was like, because I think it has these mauve shades with a very strong pink matte, and then you go in with the turquoise, and then you have like a black matte with sparkle. What are you going to do with that? Very happy to see that when I applied the pink matte, I believe is called Lightyear, applies beautifully on the lid. I just buffed this in all over on my lid and crease. I think I might have used Nebula as my inner corner highlight and Stardust as my inner lower lash line spotlight color. I'm not too sure, because on the other eye I applied Lunar just all over the lid because I was very curious to see how it looked just as like a one and done smoky eyeshadow shade, and man, oh man, that's beautiful. I don't know if I came on here to show these two mauve shades, but I'll just swatch them now. They're very beautiful. I love me a mauve type of tone matte. It's so pretty. They are light in tone. I think ideal to use as a transition shade, whether you want to blend out Lightyear or you want to pair with another matte from another palette that you have, or maybe it's shimmer or metallic. Very soft in texture. Ideal as a transition shade if you want to maintain that mauve purple story you want to keep on the lid. Dare I say that Stardust reminds me of the shade in the Pat McGrath Dark Star palette. It definitely has that shift. It has that purple shift. It's a little thinner than Pat's, but I gotta say, if you apply this across the lid, it still shows up shiny, it still shows up wet. You could layer it on without it getting cakey on the lid. You can definitely build the color of that texture shadow. I mean, it really twinkles, and that purple duochrome pulls through beautifully. Now, if you want to see Lightyear in action, this is a gorgeous matte. I was very happy to discover, sorry for a terrible swatch, that this shows up on your lids as it shows up in pan. It doesn't sheer out, it doesn't look dull, it doesn't look a weird pink. No, it looks this color. And it's notable because sometimes when it comes to these shades, these pinky purple deep shades, is hit or miss. This one though is consistent from pan to lid. Very happy with it. Lunar is, it packs a punch. It has some sparkle in here. I'm not sure if you would like that, but I think it's really nice to use as a one and done shade if you just want to create a black smoky matte eye on your lid. Nebula is gorgeous. I have to use my pinky, I'm running out of fingers. It is so shiny. Look how beautiful that is. Inner corner, lid, inner third of the lower lash line. You can do a lot with Nebula. And again, although this is a very, I don't want to say strange, but it might be a little tough to navigate if you're not comfortable with color. I get it. You can use any of these shades by themselves. You can do a lot with this color story. You just have to give it a shot and experiment, but you will not be disappointed. Oh no, I'm sorry, I said the wrong thing. Let me start over again. This is Cosmos. This is Neptune. This is Nebula. I kept calling it Lightyear. I'm sorry. This is Lightyear. That makes more sense. Stardust and Lunar. Okay, we're back on track. I actually think this harder to work with because you got your warm mattes, your warm metallic, and you got this silver here that you're like, what am I going to do with that? I thought the silver was very beautiful as an inner corner spotlight highlight. It may have looked out of place initially, but it works out because it's so shiny, and where it is on your eyes, it just serves that purpose and it works. This shade right here, are you freaking kidding me? So beautiful. That could be your one and done metallic shade. Dare I say that this reminds me of Blitz Flame, Bronze Seduction, Mama Pat. Listen, if you don't want to drop money on Bronze Seduction because she's $125 and I don't believe she released that shade as a single yet, maybe consider getting this palette for this red. It's really pretty and it is red. This silver right here, are you freaking kidding me? So shiny and beautiful. Now with the mattes. This is such a beautiful matte. It's like a yellow brown, which I don't know, man. I love yellow browns. I think it's such a unique tone to have on the eyes, and it warms up the eyes so beautifully and could be used as a single color look for sure. Or you can use it to set up this shade here. This is such a beautiful, again, it's a deeper yellow brown, and then the dark brown shade you can use to intensify and use for depth. Look at this color story. Isn't that beautiful? I am very happy with my purchase. I think they are worth looking into. If you're not into buying all three palettes, maybe just buy one. Choose one that you think will integrate best with your lifestyle, with your current makeup collection. $24. $24 for 6 shadows that work well, not too bad. But if you haven't tried Kaleidos and you're looking to maybe explore more indie brands, I think it's worth the look and possibly worth your purchase. Now that we spent an hour on eyeshadow, what else is new on this channel? So originally I wasn't crazy about this item because maybe I just didn't buy the right color or I didn't experiment enough with it. That is the Hourglass Scattered Light Glitter Eyeshadow. This is in the shade Foil. It was in the original 5 that first released. Beautiful gold-like shade. I was telling one of my friends to get the Marc Jacobs instead because I thought the Marc Jacobs, which I still think, has a little more glitz and sparkle. But what I failed to realize is that these actually blend really nicely on the lid. So the newer item that I wanted to include in this video is one of the newer shades they recently released. This is in the shade Vivid. I wanted to get the olive because I actually wanted to get the Charlotte Tilbury Mesmerize shade in the pot Verushka, which is like a beautiful olive tone. But when I tried it in Bloomingdale's, yes, I strolled in to try some of the Charlotte Tilbury makeup, I thought it was a beautiful texture. But when I applied Vivid looks significantly more olive, like olive green, than Verushka. I'm kicking myself to not have taken a picture of those side-by-side swatches. But let me tell you, I applied this shade coupled though with the Charlotte Tilbury green in her Icon palette. This shade right here, easy. It was just these 2 shades. I applied it with Vivid. It was so pretty. I applied Vivid first on my lid. I used, I think it was my Sonia G Worker 3. Works really nicely with the brush, I have to say. Oh, and I forgot to mention, I actually applied the Hourglass Vivid Pot on top of the olive shade from Sci-Fi Green from the Kaleidos eyeshadow palette, just to give it an extra punch, but also just to give you footage on how the Vivid from Hourglass applies. Here I just used my finger because since everything is pretty much on the lid, it didn't take much just to spread around and to blend, but I really love the depth of green that it produced on my lid when I layered those two shades together. I don't know why I was giving the first pot a hard time. So here, this is my Tuckahoe Beautylish holiday brush. It's not too bad, but once you get the initial sweep on there, then I feel you can go in with the finger and pack on more color. But I do think these work pretty well with a flat brush. I do. Now, quickly, if you want to see a comparison next to the Marc Jacobs, so I have Paparazzi, which is the shade that I compare to Foil from Hourglass. I do think these sequence pots pack a little more punch in terms of texture, in terms of shine. You got a lot more going on from the Marc Jacobs than you do from the Hourglass. However, if you don't like this type of texture, then I would consider doing the Hourglass. And also, despite the sparkle particles that are in the Hourglass formula, it blends really nicely across the lids. I think it's aptly named Scattered Light because that's how it appears on your lids. Even if you take it with a mat and swoosh it around your crease while that Scattered Light shade is on the lid, it just beautifully blends and it works. I'd rather use it with another type of shade like the Charlotte Tilbury that has sparkle in it too, because I'm not against applying shimmer across the crease. I mean, that's something a lot of people do, and I think they moved away from it because of the trend to only use a matte across the crease. I mean, there are no rules to makeup. There are guidelines that you can follow, but you could do whatever you want. And I believe that these foil pots work really nicely with a satin shade or maybe a shimmery shade to really enhance the scattered light properties of the Hourglass product. So I highly recommend these if you're looking into them. I think, again, the texture is light and moussey, is really nice to work with brush or finger. The scattered light effect, I feel, comes through absolutely. I applied this one day and my lid looks so frosty olive. It was really beautiful. I might get more shades, but I'm like, maybe I shouldn't because I already have my Charlotte Tilbury Mesmerized pots. I have 3 Marc Jacobs sequence pots that I rarely use. So I'm trying to hold back and not spend so much money on the single pots. If I were to get one more shade, it might be in Blaze. I forgot. It was one of like those deep red colors that I think is just so beautiful. You can't go wrong with that shade. So again, this was one of the old ones, Foil, and then the newer one, Vivid. If you love olive, you have to get Vivid. It is so pretty. Next up, we have the Natasha Denona Chroma Crystal Liquid Eyeshadow. I did see Jenna's video. Hi, Jenna. And I saw Michelle Wong's video. Hi, Michelle. I will say the general consensus is that the purple one is a little tougher to work with. I didn't buy all of them because I just simply can't afford buying all of them. But to me, the shade that stood out and worth getting was Sienna. Sienna has, dare I say, fire opal vibes because it has like a bronze base, but it has gold particles in the shade. So for us to see that, so this is Sienna, and I thought it was the most interesting for me out of all the shades that the Chroma Liquid line had to offer. It is very lightweight. I think it's fairly easy to work with. You have this doe foot applicator that's very flat and very angled, I have to say. You could apply it straight on with the doe foot, or you could pat it on your finger first and then go on with your lid. I rather like this. I do. I think it's a great way to add a little more punch to your lid if you don't want to use a powder shimmer or powder metallic. Or if you do use a powder shimmer, powder metallic, you can rely on the Chroma Crystal Liquid to give it a little more shine and twinkle. There's something about pairing bronze with lime green reflects. I don't know what it is, but this is like one of my most favorite duochrome combinations, and the one that I felt was the most interesting out of, I think, 5. And although this is like a warm bronzy shade, because of the green reflect, I think it makes it more interesting and just could fit its way into a lot of color stories. I think if you want to mess with this, you should get Sienna. I think Sienna is the most pretty out of all of them. That's just me. Oh wait, who Chanel palette, who this? This is the Beiges Natural Eyeshadow Collection. I had to have this because, again, our girl Mel, she was surprised too with how much she liked this, because typically I don't gravitate towards Chanel eyeshadows because they are very sheer, and I like color. I like that pigmentation. I could handle it. Like, give me all the color. This, though, the textures surprised me in terms of how much they delivered. They're not new shades, but they're pretty. And I feel it's just a nice escape from bold eye looks. I think one day, it was a Sunday morning before I went into my 9 a.m. class at West 92nd Street. I just needed a soft eye. I didn't want to do anything punchy, anything crazy. And these shades do it. I believe I applied this like matte shade. I think it's more satin, if anything. It just looks so soft and natural on the eyes. But if you really want to smoke it up, use that shade or go in with this shade. But then it has these pretty shiny metallics as well that I think just are beautiful all over the lid, on the inner corner. You have your more taupey shape here that I feel, did I say shape or shade? What's wrong with me? That I feel can serve a really nice purpose for a soft contoured eye. I really like this palette. It's very expensive. I mean, it's too expensive. It is Chanel, but the beige compact got me. Like, this thing is so beautiful. And the mirror is edge to edge. I think great for travel. If you just need an eyeshadow palette that's going to give you a soft daily look, smoke it up for evening, give you just small variances and nuances of color, you are going to stick with the taupe story. I mean, this is taupe and bronze story all the way. But if you're okay with that color story for like 3 to 5 days, then I think this will serve the purpose quite well. And it does have the fun brushes, but you know, we will use those for emergency purposes only. If you want to see a 3-look video using this little guy, let me know down below. I'll be more than happy to film it for you. And the other Chanel item that I quickly mentioned in my other videos was from their Cruise collection. This is the Dual Bronze Harmony Bronzer and Highlighter Duo in medium. I applied this today, first the bronzer shade and then the highlighter shade. The bronzer shade is like a gelée type of formula that I feel works great if you want a very light contour shade. So when I applied this on the footage, I already had my bronzer on, but having the bronzer on first just enhanced the shade of the Chanel bronzer. I think that's how I would layer it if you wanted to use the 2 items. And the highlighter is so pretty. It's like a gold, but it's a lightweight highlighting powder. Again, these are like a gelée to powder formula that I feel is ideal for those who need to go a little less heavy on the first application. It's like training wheels for the powders, you know what I mean? You can layer these up. If you want more punch, wet the highlighter shade and apply it on your cheekbones. I think this is a beautiful product from Chanel. I don't have a lot of Chanel makeup. I stay away from the luxury items because, again, it's not in my budget, but they are some standout luxury items that when Chanel releases with their collections, their seasonal collections, I think are worth looking into. And I know this bronzer shade is not going to look great on deeper skin tones. If you are around my shade or a little deeper, maybe if you pair it with your favorite bronzer, that this will show up. I use this as a contour shade because I think it's not too warm but not too cool tone. It's perfect just to give me that little bit of sculpt without looking too cool, especially since I layer it on a bronzer powder that is not going to make that bronzer powder look muddy at all. It's just going to enhance the shade and the intensity on that area of my cheekbone. And this gold color, I mean, I can't get enough of it. I'm just taking my Hakuhodo J5522 with this shade, and you could just put a little more where you need it, and it's such a beautiful beautifully textured powder. It's so lightweight on the skin. It's not too yellow gold. It's the right amount of gold hue to serve as a highlighter shade. Woo! It's getting hot. Two items. We're almost done, friends. It is the Silky Matte Bronzing Powder from Milani Cosmetics in 03 Suntan. I applied this today. I already showed it in my top 5 bronzer video, but I wanted to show you again just so you could take a peek. I love this shade of bronzer. It's not too warm, but it's not too cold. It's like for my skin tone, it's like the perfect brown. If I needed a hula that actually showed up on me and gave me some bronzing properties, it would be this. Dare I say it has a coconut scent? I don't know if I mentioned that in my original bronzer video. And it's not the deepest bronzer shade. I have much deeper bronzer shades in my collection. But for some reason, I like what it does. It definitely appears warmer on skin than it appears in pan. And that's why I was surprised when I applied this for the first time. I was like, whoa, I wasn't expecting that. It gives you some color. It definitely does. You have one more shade after this. 04, that's a little more red toned. I hope they come out with more shades because I rather love this texture powder. It's lightweight, it's matte, but it doesn't appear flat on the skin. It really creates that bronzing effect on your face, and it just beautifully blends. Very smooth, does not look textured. It just melts into your skin, and for drugstore, I think it not a bad shade or texture at all. And the last item I'm going to present for my July favorites, I've been holding on to the Too Faced Waterproof Better Than Sex mascara for a long time. I didn't bother looking for any other mascara. I tried the Pat McGrath Fetish Eyes that I liked. It took me a while to get to know it. I decided not to repurchase it because I didn't want to use 2 mascaras. I tried the CoverGirl Exhibitionist and I was not happy with it. It made my eyelashes very goopy. I thought them very heavy. But then I decided to go back to my dupe list, if you will, that I kept in the back of my head when reading about products, that the L'Oreal Lash Paradise likened to the Too Faced Better Than Sex mascara in terms of tube, in terms of wand and the brush head. So I picked it up. I think it might have been week and a half or 2 weeks ago. I've been using it ever since. I liked it initially. Now I love it. With a lot of mascaras, the first application from a fresh tube might not be the best because I feel it was still a little wet. The more you use it, the thicker it becomes, and it is an ideal now texture for my lashes. I have the waterproof because I find waterproof holds the curl superbly throughout the day and a long time throughout the day. I love how my lashes look. The other day, my friend was like, did you get extensions? I'm like, no, girlfriend, this is L'Oreal. Despite it being waterproof, it does not dry out my eyes. I do wear daily contact lenses, but even with the dailies, if on for a long time, they can start to feel dry. With this mascara, my eyes are fine. I love how it builds. I love the curl it produces. It's just a great mascara. Now, the one con I would say is that it's not great on my lower lashes because it does transfer despite it being waterproof. I don't know how that happens, but it happens. I primarily stick to this on my top lashes, but several of you have suggested I try the Essence mascara. So that is on the list to pick up next, and I can't wait to compare both of them. So those have been my favorite, friends. I'm happy I didn't go crazy this month and I kept it rather reasonable. Let me know down below if you picked up anything new this month, or maybe you didn't and you just revisited an old product and it became a new favorite once again, and what you have your eye on in any upcoming new makeup releases. And that, my friends, is a wrap. Thank you all so much for watching. I hope this video helped, and if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel. And until then, I'll see you on here again with another tutorial, favorites, 3-look video, or review. Take care, and I'll see you again soon.